last week, running from the heat, but the beat's coming alive. Let's get lost tonight. Lord, who's on my right?
Hello? Hello? Do you hear me? Does anyone hear me? Let's see. Wait 1 second. Mike's running in here.
It's not working.
I don't know. Hello? Hello?
You don't hear anything?
No. I mean, I hear myself echoing.
Christmas.
Really wouldn't be an episode of Without a Country if something didn't go crazily wrong at the top. Hello, hello. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. And, you know, not going to be, this'll be fine. This is great.
Jesus, I'm a mess. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Also, wait, forgot to look at the card before I left. Do we remember the name of the wacko who gave us the donkey gear? Okay, great. Well, I'm sorry. You sent me a card, and I read it, but I read it a week ago, which is the problem. And it's on my kitchen counter, and I meant to refresh myself on your name before I left, but I did not, and that's on me. That being said, me and Mike did coordinate, and we are wearing the matching donkeys shirts that you sent us so generously, and you sent like so much cool stuff. So hello, first of all, hello, welcome to Without a Country. This is my camera today. Which one? This is one. This is it. Yeah. They change the studio every week. It's like a big studio, and they shoot a lot of different concepts of shows in here. That's why it's kind of different every week. Anyway, welcome to Without a Country. I'm Corinne Fisher. I'm running for mayor of New York City. Whatever you're doing right now, please stop and go to Instagram and follow Corinne Fisher for mayor, wherever you live. Okay. People say, oh, if I don't live here, what can I do to help you? Number one, if you're an American resident, please donate. Number two, follow on my social media. That is super helpful. This is all a big fucking performance. Not on my end, right? I'm literally a professional entertainer. I've never been more transparent in my life, and I've been pretty transparent the whole time. But just so you guys know, this is all a show. We knew it was a show, but it's more of a show than even I knew. I thought there would be a little bit more, I don't know, policy, change, heart, passion. It's literally all a show, all who you know, all money, all shaking hands, all backroom deals. It's disgusting. We'll get into it in a second. Michael, did you get my email? Some people have been saying Without a Country is not updating on Apple. We need a tech update on the RSS feed, because someone also said they think Spotify is suppressing the show. What's going on? People need access to Without a Country.
I don't think Spotify is suppressing anything. When I checked the episode that I had up and scheduled for, I believe it was the 16th, didn't fire. So yeah, we were.
Now, was this your fault?
I mean, I set it to go off. I've had this happen with a number of other shows in the past. It is my fault for not double checking at the time that I set it.
Right, because I always check the YouTube. I don't always check the audio. I just don't. I don't even open my audio apps. I got a lot of checking to do. There's a lot of things I'm checking. I'm checking how much money the campaign finance board registered. I'm checking Guys We Fucked feeds. I'm checking this. I'm checking 4 Instagrams. I'm making sure my dog is, pooping when he needs to. I'm checking to make sure my boyfriend doesn't feel ignored. I'm checking to make sure Christina feels supported. There's a lot of checking going on, okay? Anyway, so that's the tech update. I know you guys were wondering, but not too many people asked me about it. Again, I think
both of those episodes, by the way, are up now. The
okay.
one from a week, like 2 weeks ago, and then the one from this weekend, fired on time.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Again, I think it's obviously everyone doesn't watch on YouTube, because you can see the numbers, and there's like many thousands more listens that we get, so they have to be coming not on YouTube. but I always check on YouTube. So if for some reason it's not on audio, I know if you listen in the car, YouTube isn't ideal. But you can always click play on YouTube and it should be there because that's the one that I'm always checking to make sure it's up. But yeah, always send me a DM if something is not working. I wish I could tell you someone else was checking those DMs. It's literally me. 4 o'clock in the morning, that's me. 3 p.m., also me. Okay, so let's get into the show. We have a lot to go off on. I promised you, every week I'm trying to do a little bit political transparency. I don't want to bore you if you're not interested in my mayoral run, but I think if you're watching this show, you're generally interested in how politics works. So whether or not you're interested in my campaign specifically, I'm trying to give you information if you want to run, and also just so you're aware what's happening on a local level in politics, because that 100% feeds into what's happening on a national level. And I mean, especially in New York City. Again, dirty, dirty, dirty. Well, that didn't connect now. Okay. Because we're in different things. So did it play on yours? I just can't hear it. All right. So right before I sat down in the studio today, I saw the breaking news. And this is going to tie into our enemy of the state. My enemy of the state this week is kiss ass butt licker Joe Wilson. Okay. That is my enemy of the state this week. That wasn't the drop. I don't even believe Mercury is in retrograde right now.
State.
All right, this is from The Hill. If you're wondering who is Joe Wilson, that's the most generic name I ever heard. Again, apologies to all the other Joe Wilsons out there listening. No shade to you, but again, it's, who's Joe Wilson? So this is from The Hill. South Carolina Republican wants to put Trump on a new $250 bill. Okay, again, this is turning into an oligarchy. Representative Joe Wilson, Republican from South Carolina, you have ties to South Carolina, do you not? Says he is preparing legislation to feature President Trump on a new $250 bill. Grateful to announce that I am drafting legislation. And again, drafting legislation is far from it actually happening. I think part of what the Republican Party likes to do is do crazy things like this and prepare legislation like this so that they can make us mad and make us talk about this. And it is, such a ridiculous talking point. And by me sharing this with you, we are feeding into it. But also the kind of legislation that they are wasting their time and our tax dollars preparing is, number one, stuff that feeds into this King Trump rhetoric, or just nonsense. And then number two is, there's real problems. What are you doing? Everyone should be mad about this. Okay. So everyone, I think most people agree that financially, we don't feel like as a country we're in a good space. There is an immigration issue, no matter what side you're on, that needs to be handled somehow, whether that is, the left's, version, which is empathetically, or the right's version, which is fly them all out. Either way, it's something that needs to be handled. So that small piece we can agree with, right? I'm trying to say that the piece that we all can agree on is that there are more important things to be done than introducing legislation that presents Donald Trump on a $250 bill. Have you ever needed $250 exactly in one bill? I haven't. Okay, you can do 200s and a 50 and you'll get along just fine. Grateful to announce that I am drafting legislation to direct the Bureau of Graving and Printing to design a $250 bill featuring Donald J. Trump. Again, that all costs money. Wilson wrote in a Tuesday post on X, I guess this is why he canceled pennies. He was like, we're going to cancel pennies so we can then introduce my $250 bill. Wilson wrote in a Tuesday post on X with a mock-up of the proposed bill. Current laws prevent a living person from appearing on U.S. currency. Dun, dun, dun. Despite the contradiction with federal law, Wilson said he wants to honor the president for his financial policies, drawing a contrast to the previous administration. And I couldn't agree more with that. You shouldn't have a living person appear on U.S. currency because they still have the ability to fuck up, right? This aligns perfectly with my personal view of you should not get a living person tattooed to you. A living animal, sure. A living person, no. Even if it's your own child, you don't know that you're not the parent of the next Columbine shooter. Do you really want that tattooed to you? I don't think you do. So yeah, I have a no living person tattoo rule for your body because you need to, even if it's like someone's art, right? the only tattoo I ever really wanted to get was an Andy Warhol tattoo, and I felt comfortable getting that. His art, not him. I felt comfortable. I don't have it, but I felt comfortable getting it at the time when I made this mock proposal in my head because he was dead. And I knew that, obviously they can still dig up things, but we know he didn't murder anyone, most likely, So, again, despite the contradiction with federal law, Wilson said he wants to honor the president for his financial policies, drawing a contrast to the previous administration. Bidenflation has destroyed the economy, forcing American families to carry more cash. I don't think so. Most valuable bill for most valuable president, he wrote. I know less and less people who carry cash every year. Again, I live in New York City and also hang out with a lot of younger people, so it's very much like an Apple Pay society. I know not everyone does that, but I think to say that we're carrying more cash is an odd statement. I think people just don't have money. The Republican-controlled Congress has already shown a wave of support for the president, including a proposal to allow Trump to seek a third term in office, which is forbidden by the Constitution, and a bill seeking to add his likeness to the Mount Rushmore monument. So, if you're feeling like you've been overlooked by government and you were really hoping Trump was your guy, this is what, his people are spending time on. I hope this is exactly what you signed up for. Hope that's exactly what you wanted him to be doing. And again, I'm not happy about this. I want him to be doing a good job. This is a big old mess, and it's a big old mess for everyone. And me saying, haha, or this is not who I voted for does not make that better. This is our country, no matter who you voted for, and we're in this together. That's my point of view. And so, again, I really wanted him to do a good job. And I got to be honest, my review so far is worse than the first term. All right, I want to say a quick hello to our newest Patreon cutie, Ella Rickard. Thank you so much for supporting. Of course, please always support the Without a Country Patreon. But if you only have minimal funds and you're an American and you can only donate to one thing, I do ask that you put those funds towards my mayoral campaign. You can donate at CorinneFisher.com. We have 19 days left until the next disclosure period. We are on track with what I wanted to, where I wanted to be financially. So we're 19 days in to this first disclosure period. We have 19 days left, right? I would like to raise the same amount of money that we raised in the first half of this disclosure period. I really do think, and again, I'm keeping the number in my head, but I do think that if we hit that, it really makes our campaign visible. Okay, it's not an unreachable amount of donors or amount of money. And again, I want to reiterate this. If you've been following my Instagram stories, we already have more individual donors in my rollout than all but two of the major candidates had in their rollout. That's a huge accomplishment, right? Again, more than Eric Adams had in his, as of the last disclosure period, more than people who have been elected officials for a long time, more than the comptroller, which I read a long article from NPR, and it's actually pronounced controller, but everyone says it is spelled COMPTROLLER, right? So people say comptroller or comptroller. It's really supposed to be pronounced controller, but there was also a whole article about how even like Elliot Spitzer, who I believe used to hold that position, was saying it wrong himself. So this is what's going on. Anyway, but it's supposed to be, according to NPR, controller. And you can look it up and listen to the computer say it for you, and it's controller. But a lot of times you'll hear people pronounce it comptroller. But anyway, that's what you're doing. Basically, it's the accountant for the city. That's what we're calling it.
In college, they would definitely tell you to go to the comptroller's office.
So anyone saying the P is 100% wrong. There's not even discussion on that.
The two acceptable exclusively.
Yeah, the two acceptable forms I would say is comptroller or controller. But the problem is when it's like one of those words where when you pronounce it correctly, like when you say euro instead of gyro. Euro is the correct pronunciation. No one knows what the fuck you're talking about. I once said euro in an audition, And everyone was like, what do you, like, do you mean gyro? And I'm like, they're like, you're saying it wrong. And I go, no, you're saying it wrong. But so many people are saying it wrong that you think that I'm saying it wrong, you know? And I thought a lot about that before I went into the audition. I was like, should I say it correctly or should I say it in the way that I think people will understand it? And I just opted to say it correctly because, you know, my quest for the truth that gets me nowhere. So I just said it right. And then everyone was like, what are you saying? And I was like, this audition is not going to work out. Anyway, like truly the person reading with me was like, you're a fucking idiot. And it was so funny because I was like, you're actually the fucking idiot, but I see where you might think that. Anyway, so yeah, so so all of these people, we have more individual donors, which was what I was really going for. But let's knock this out of the park. Again, visibility. We need to be visible somehow, and this I think is the way that we do it. When we show how many people are supporting this campaign, even if it's, you know, in increments of $20. We got a long way with $20, but this is, you know, only a couple thousand people donated so far, right? There's so many more people than that following me on Instagram, listening to these podcasts, right? So if you're listening and you think, my donation doesn't matter, I'm busy, your donation matters so much. So please make the donation. And for the love of God, if you're in New York City. If you're not in New York City right now and you can volunteer, please do that. Please sign up via my website to volunteer for petitioning. We'll be petitioning for the next month. All you have to do is get signatures from New Yorkers who are registered Democrats. Even if like you can't go out on the street with our team, but you have a big office with a lot of Democrats, or you go to Soul Cycle with a lot of registered Democrats, I can send you the form. And as long as you yourself are a registered Democrat, I can send you the form. You can print it out yourself, legal size paper. Please make sure you have legal size paper. And then you can get the signatures. And then me or Christina or someone will come and get it from you at the end of the month. So all of these things, we're going to make it as easy as possible for you. There are so many ways you can help, but we need to get these signatures. Okay. And so petitioning, I did want to talk about petitioning just for a second so you know what it is. Petitioning is something that you have to do no matter where you're running for office, in America at least, and from, you know, mayor of a tiny town to Congress to all these things. You need to petition, right? And that's just getting signatures from usually registered members of your party, depending. That's for a primary. And it's just them saying, I think this person should be able to be on the ballot. It is not a vote. It is not an endorsement. You can sign for me and vote for someone else. They're not checking. Doesn't matter. You're just saying that I think this person should have the ability to be on the ballot, and then the American voters can make their decision after that. I truly think petitioning is like the most American thing there is because it's lovely. I signed for people in my district that I'm probably not voting for, but I signed for them because I think they should have the opportunity to run, right? It shouldn't be me who's keeping them off the ballot. It's a really simple thing, and again, I know we're all busy, and when people try to stop us on the streets, we think they're trying to sell us something or get our credit card number. If someone stops you and asks you, are you a registered Democrat? Are you a registered Republican? And you are, please take the 2 minutes to sign. This is an extremely painstaking process. It's going to take 5 to 10 years off my life. I've already estimated this, and this is day 2. And if they're at the petitioning process, most likely they've done a lot of work to get there. So again, I think it's really funny because I see so many people in New York City just, you know, who I'm sure consider themselves to be socially and politically active, who have their AirPods in and couldn't give a shit about these people trying to, stop them on the street. And let me tell you, like, you can have your, free public libraries tote bag and whatever the hell you want. But if you are not stopping to sign for these people petitioning, that is so much more helpful than whatever those other things that you did that you think were helpful. The, infographics that you reposted on Instagram. That didn't help anyone. Signing, it probably just went to your friends who already think the same exact way you do, or your family who thinks opposite, and then it's just gonna split you up more. This is the kind of stuff when you send me panicked emails and you say, I feel like the world is falling apart. What can I do? I now know more clearly than ever what you can do. Voting is the bare minimum. If you're not doing that, you're not participating in society. That's the bare minimum, though. There has to be more, right? So supporting candidates that you think are good. And it doesn't have to be me, just someone who you think is going to make a positive change in your society. Voting in municipal elections. I will never Never, I wasn't before because I wasn't a registered Democrat, because I wanted to be independent. I've talked about that before a lot. But now that I am a registered Democrat and I'm eligible to vote in the closed primaries that we have in New York City, I will never, ever miss a municipal election again. It's too much work that people are putting in, right? And there's too much at stake because there's bad people running. Okay, let me just tell you, on all levels, not just for mayor, for city council, and they're all in fucking cahoots with each other. They're all in cahoots, even on the petition ballots. Like if you're walking around New York City, mine are only mine, but you'll see that there are petitions that have like 5 people who formed an alliance together, like it's freaking Survivor, and they're all for different ones. Like I signed one today, and it was literally for like a city council member, a district borough president, also public advocate. I was like, this is a lot of names, but the lady was just so nice, and she shared a lovely story about how she spent a year and a half in a domestic abuse survivor shelter with her daughter, and we kind of just really had a nice little chat about women's issues together, and how we were just so upset that Cuomo is polling so well in New York City. And so I was like, I signed for her because she was out there trying to do good, and I didn't have any moral anything morally against the people I signed for. Again, will I vote for them? Probably not. I don't like that they're all in cahoots with each other. That seems shady to me. But, this is why things don't get done, because everyone's just helping each other climb the ladder, right? So please sign for them. And then, and donating, that kind of stuff really, really does help. I know we want to, of course, donate to all our friends' individual GoFundMes, and I would never tell you not to do that. But, ideally, we should be funding campaigns of elected officials who will make society better, so that we are not living on a system where we have to fund our healthcare via GoFundMes. That's my goal. And not just for human GoFundMes. There's a lot of animal GoFundMes, and I would like to, this is not something I can do as mayor, but I think we really need to look into legislation of not getting absolutely fucked up the ass, for lack of a better word, when it comes to caring for our pets. There is some legislation actually being proposed right now in New York City that's very interesting about giving people paid time off from work to take care of their pets the way you would for human loved ones. So I think that's really cool. And I think we're moving in the right direction, where we're really treating animals as the living beings that they are. But again, so that's just a little information. And also, the funny thing about petitioning is, right? So if you're following any candidate who's petitioning, any of these candidates, Eric Adams, whatever, who are running big campaigns, who have this, $1 million, several $1 million money, they're taking pictures with their volunteers, and they're taking selfies, and they have their little tables and their little buttons out. Please know that is all a charade. Yeah, they're obtaining real signatures, but those people have already paid large firms thousands of dollars to obtain the signatures for them. Please know that. That is something I had no idea about before I was running. All these people, all these major candidates, they say that, because in theory, again, it's the most American thing, having the people decide who ultimately gets to be on the ballot. So American, so democratic. I love it. There is a pay-to-play aspect. There is a pay-to-play aspect to every level of this race. I am truly disgusted and horrified. I knew money spoke, but when I learned that you could pay to get access to the ballot, and it's, again, there's nothing illegal about it. I would even be willing to do it just so I could compete with these other players, because I actually do have the money in my campaign to do it. But here we go. Another hurdle I'm going to be transparent with you about. Another hurdle is that these firms, because they have political alliances of their own, will only take on certain candidates. One of my advisors had a call with, I love this, because all of this I'm not supposed to be saying. Fuck it. I don't care. So one of my advisors this week actually had a call with one of these firms that she thought could be a safety for us, right? Because we don't want to spend our money on that. We're a small campaign. But if it came between me getting on the ballot and not getting on the ballot, we wanted to have it as a security measure. And again, we did have the funds. They could be allocated to other better things, but we had the funds to do it, right? We had an idea of what it would cost in our head, and we had the funds to do it. It would be a big percentage, but again, if you don't make ballot, the campaign's over, and that money goes back to the city of New York. So she had a conversation with them, and they basically said, because the mayoral race is like kind of the bloodbath that it is, and I'm sure because Andrew Cuomo is most likely going to announce in the next few days that he's running for mayor, that they didn't want to support a grassroots candidate like me, and they suggested that maybe I run for something else like city council, and then they could take my money. First of all, I've already announced I'm running for mayor. I've registered. I've done all the things. You can't just switch what you're running for. There's like a ton of things that I have done specifically for this role. But I just thought that was so funny. So again, all these people that you watch, they can post their infographics about how great they are and all these selfies with their volunteers. And I'll be doing the same. I'm really actually out there with my volunteers, though. These other candidates are making a pit stop and then going someplace else. But these people, it's all a performance, okay? They have their people out there because, why not obtain signatures? Because it's a way to canvass at the same time to give out information about who you are. But they're paying people. It's all taken care of. It's all signed, sealed, and delivered already. They'll all make ballot access. Watch. And then once you submit your signatures, first of all, I need 3,750 signatures, right? So that is that means that I have to get like at least 7,500 for it to be valid. Like only like 58% of signatures come in valid. So I'll need that. And then after that process, another tactic that these big boy candidates usually use is they hire election lawyers, and then they try to go through smaller candidates' lists of signatures and invalidate their signatures to stop them from coming, from getting on the ballot so that they have less people to compete with. Again, truly just a bloodbath, just a game. And they know they can take smaller candidates to court because they have more money to do it. And it also wastes the candidate's time, right? Because if they wanted to take me to court, hypothetically, I would then have to go sit in a courtroom for like 4 days when I could be at mayoral forums, when I could be out talking to the community, when I could be out doing truly anything else except for sitting in court going over signatures. And then it also drains my campaign fund because I have to obtain a lawyer for those 4 days. As you know, lawyers are usually, sometimes they're on retainer, but a lot of times they're hourly depending on what type of a lawyer it is. Yeah, so that's just a little piece of the nonsense that is going on right now. So knowing all that, I hope it makes you more motivated to sign for a candidate's petition when someone stops you. I know you're on the way to the park with your friend to have a picnic, but it only takes 2 minutes and it really makes a big deal. So if you are as, committed to democracy or elections or whatever it is that you say you are, please make the time, because I just see a lot of hypocrisy, especially amongst liberals with that. People walking by in the East Village, basically in the entire East Village is liberals, right? And just a lot of people walking by to brunch with their AirPods in who don't have the time. And this is not even my experience petitioning, right? Because I haven't petitioned in this area yet. It is me watching other people try to stop them, and it's a difference. There are Green Mountain Energy, whatever, they like to stand outside. And I think they're asking for money, or I know Greenpeace sometimes asks for money. But when someone's just asking for a signature, come on. If you care as much about politics as the internet would think, would say you do, or as your Instagram profile tells us, you need to put your money or you need to put your signature where your mouth is, really. So that's my monologue for today about petitioning. Again, please just send me good energy. And hey, if you work for a firm that does this, let me know. Love to support a wacko. All right, now we're going into the wacko mailbag. This is from wacko Kirsty. So this is an interesting article. The article is almost an hour-long read, so I'm not going to read it to you. But this is she sent me this really interesting article from Propublica.org called "The Militia and the Mole" by Joshua Kaplan. And it's about a guy named John Williams who is gay, which is important to the story, not just something I'm telling you. He's basically a freelance vigilante. He's a wilderness survival trainer who spent years undercover climbing the ranks of right-wing militias. He didn't tell police or the FBI. He didn't tell his family or friends. And he penetrated a new generation of militia leaders, which included doctors and government attorneys. Experts say the militias could have a renaissance under Donald Trump. And then he sent ProPublica a massive trove of documents. The conversations that he secretly recorded give a unique and startling window into the militia movement. So that's kind of, months ago, I used to kind of give like a homework or for your own enjoyment kind of reading recommendation. And that's my reading recommendation for this week. Again, it's called The Militia and the Mole. We'll put the link in the information section of the podcast, but it's at ProPublica.org. And if you Google Militia and the Mole, this article comes up right away. So thanks for Kirsty for sending that in. Looks really interesting. I just saw it today, so I haven't read the whole thing, but I did start going through it, and I was like, this is the kind of thing I like. Wish I could read it for you, but I don't think it's worth an hour of showtime, but I think very interesting nonetheless. Now this, next, I have a bunch of wacko mailbag entries this week. It's funny, like some weeks I'll get no emails, and then some weeks I'll get like 20 emails to go through. So this is from Madison. Hi, Madison. I know you're celebrating, 5 years cancer-free? Congratulations. It might be more, but congratulations on your many years cancer-free. She goes, hi, Corinne. I will save the longtime listener tangent and get straight to the point. Also, I know who you are, so you don't have to. I know that. There was a picture of you on my Instagram for a long time holding up a picture of me, so I'll never forget who you are. You're lovely. Thanks so much for being a supporter for all these years. So she writes, on February 11th, 2025, a group of men took employees of a local business named Tacosñanas. I don't know how you would pronounce that, but it's Tacos, Nganas, from the food truck they work in. Here is the security footage. I know this isn't new, but what is particularly disturbing is that these men wear everyday clothing, show no ID or warrant, and hide their faces with gaiters, which is why so many people are describing these ICE raids as basically being kidnapped. An article has since been released by a local Memphis publication that says these men were federal agents, but it does not confirm what agency they are with. A large amount of the community, including myself, believe these people were kidnapped by bounty hunters, Proud Boys, etc., and then turned in. And it's funny that you said that, because as I was reading your email, I was thinking about like Dog the Bounty Hunter and stuff like that. There are definitely, bounty hunting, like obviously we know from Dog the Bounty Hunter, is technically legal. I've seen some documentaries and stuff about it before. I haven't looked fully into the law on it, but like it's one of those things where you go, this seems like this shouldn't be legal. I think it perhaps might be on a state-by-state basis as far as legality goes, but like it is something that exists, and I think it is bad. We should not, everyday people should not like be policing each other. I think that's kind of a nightmare. But it is encouraged when you think about things like, FBI's Most Wanted. Like, it is not uncommon that we use everyday people, the public, et cetera, to help us catch people that we have deemed criminals. I am unsure what you can do but warn others, but I am scared things will only worsen. I have attached other news sources below. So, let's see. So this is from Newsweek. ICE raids taco truck in shock video. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, agents have conducted a raid on a taco truck in Memphis. Why it matters: immigration was a key element of President Donald Trump's 2024 campaign and helped Republicans sweep to power on a national level. While large majorities of both Democrats and Republicans agree the immigration system is broken, as indicated in a recent New York Times Ipsos poll, Americans disagree on how policies such as deportations should be carried out. Right? Again, just like I said at the top of the show, both the right and the left agree that there's something needs to be done about immigration. It's just like kind of what and how. What to know: a video shared on social media shows a group of unidentified men. These guys are like just look like, bouncers to not even a nice bar, taking the employees from the tacos. How do you say this? I'm sure you have to say it like in Spanish, but I'm just doing it so not justice. Tacoñanas, like that. business without identifying themselves as immigration authorities. The city of Memphis is confirmed Monday night that federal agents from Homeland Security investigations detained the employees.
Taken Guinness.
Okay, I don't think it's that, but did not immediately clarify whether ICE was involved. The men in the video posted by Taco Ñanas on Monday did not display any badges or IDs and wore no uniforms identifying them as ICE agents. ICE averaged 787 arrests per day between January 23rd and 31st. You know what they could be doing instead of arresting people? Getting me signatures for my ballot, because 787 a day, man, we are money.
So I'm seeing a Reddit post here talking about how it was blowing up all over Memphis. It's Taco Engañas, a play on the word engañas.
Okay, I guess
so it's Taco Engañas.
But what does that mean?
Engañas, deceiver or trickster.
That's interesting.
I think that, according to this Reddit post.
All right. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Monday that ICE arrested 11,000 criminals in the last 18 days. She's saying criminals because they're just considering everyone they arrested criminals because they're undocumented, not people who have committed crimes in the way that we would see them as crimes, murder, rape, etc. It comes after reports emerged that a Florida middle school science teacher was reportedly detained by immigration officials and now faces deportation despite being part of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which is DACA. The unnamed middle school teacher in Miami-Dade County was taken into custody by ICE at an immigration hearing. Meanwhile, administration officials confirmed that some detainees were released back into the U.S. after their arrest. The city of Memphis said in a post on X, formerly Twitter, "We understand the shockwaves that are reverberating through our community right now following the release of the," say it,
Taco Engañas.
Perfect video. Although these matters don't fall under our jurisdiction, we reached out to federal authorities out of concern. Homeland Security investigations confirmed that this action was carried out by federal agents. And again, another thing that I'm really learning, firsthand is how, people, and everyday citizens, everyday residents, including myself, don't really understand the difference between what is something that is handled on a municipal level and what is handled on a federal level, right? So if you reached out to the politicians for working for the city of Memphis, right, they can be outraged and they can try to fight back against Donald Trump. They can take him to court for his actions. Right now, as it stands, if it's something national like Homeland Security, his power does override. But you want people on a municipal level who aren't just going to sit back and take it. You want people who will challenge him in court. That's the kind of what you're looking for. So yeah, you can't expect the mayor to go and do something immediately. They can try. I've said I would gladly go to jail. To stop these terrible ICE raids in the way that they're happening. But it's not truly fair to put on the people of Memphis because it's really beyond their jurisdiction, as they're not lying. So Taco Ñanas Memphis wrote on a Facebook post, "Earlier today, individuals entered one of our trucks and took away several of our employees. We do not know what prompted this. We were not told beforehand." Well, yeah, they're not going to tell you beforehand. "And we have not been told since. We understand it may be difficult to watch, but we're sharing a video of it. We have heard from employees. They've been told they're being detained by ICE. We don't know if the men you see in the video work for ICE or for someone else. You'll see they have no uniforms, do not show any badge or ID, and did not leave any identifying information or paperwork. If not for our security cameras, we would not have even known this happened. We've contacted legal aid organizations to help the employees, and we're gathering any information we have to share with their families. Our company complies with federal and local immigration laws, and we know everyone is dealing with situations like this. We know our community is scared as the country navigates a new normal. We're here to support the community and to support our workforce and people too." And so in these situations, when we want to support people, especially people who don't speak English and don't read English, who might not have access to all the information that we have access to, a lot of people, including AOC, she shared, when we're talking about infographics that are actually helpful. So AOC shared it. Attorney Martinez, my fave, also shared it. But they shared a very concise set of infographics. I reposted it, but you can go back and look, because it was a couple weeks ago, about knowing your rights, what the rights are, and they posted them in English and Spanish. So if if you have some free time and you want to do something that is actually useful instead of getting a tote bag and being outraged, what you can do is you can, print out or even, go and airdrop if you want to do it environmentally friendly, but just get that information to people who probably don't follow social impact Instagrams online because they're working 3 jobs, and just get that information to people, especially getting the information in Spanish to people in your community where perhaps there are hubs of people who don't speak English, so that they know their rights, and if you speak Spanish, also a great time to really make use of that and to be like, hey, I'm here, I come in peace, I'm your neighbor, I just wanted to let you know I'm really upset about the things that are happening. This is some information you can say. This is from AOC. They'll probably know her. Again, that's why it's good to have people visible like that. This is, AOC posted this. This is about knowing your rights. Share this information with anyone you know. You need more copies, let me know. Here's my phone number if you need any help, something like that. Something like that is really helpful. And again, I think it's, something where, especially as left-leaning people, we need to be a little bit more active on the local level of our communities and going out and helping neighbors and friends, because it truly does take a village. And again, so it's little things are where it all starts. Everyone does not have to run for office. Believe me, unless you are. The reason why only people who already are in politics or entertainers are the only types of, or hedge fund managers are the only types of people who can run for office is because if you don't work in politics already, you have to be someone who works for themselves, because you need to be able to completely alter your own schedule. So I figured that one out fast. So I guess also if you're a fashion designer or something, basically something like that, where it can be flexible, where you can step away from something or, complete half your work at 4:00 in the morning and still make your main income, but then run for office. What happens next? The detentions at Taco and Yana's are likely to spark further scrutiny of immigration enforcement tactics, especially as questions remain about the identities of the men involved and the legal basis for the detentions. And also just, if you're in a space, God forbid, where you see people detaining others that they deem to be undocumented immigrants, and they didn't show a badge, they didn't show that, say, hi, stop, what is going on? Video it, but also in the moment be what do you show me some ID, what are you doing? If these people speak English and the people that they're taking into custody don't speak English, be there, speak the English to the people who are doing it, to these bounty hunters. Do you have something, Michael?
It's for later in the show.
Oh, okay. So that's that. If you want to watch, do you want to play the security footage, or are we going to boot it off? It's that Instagram link here that says, here's the security footage. Also, guys, look, I've never put a sticker on my laptop before. And it's what an honor that the first sticker I put on my laptop is my own sticker, Corinne Fisher, for sure, for mayor of New York City. Look at that. Look at that. So beautiful. Designed by Joe Frontel, who's done a lot of my comedy posters. So talented. Graphic designer out of Florida. Love Joe. Shout out to Joe.
Sorry, I was trying to pull up the news story that has. I can't find the Instagram video, but
why? It's right on the dock.
On the dock?
It literally says, "Here is the security footage," and it's highlighted.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I had it for you. I prepared it.
All right, I was looking lower on down the thing. All right.
Ease on down the road.
Ease on down the road now.
So this is just security footage from the taco truck. If you guys are listening at home, it shouldn't be long, so shouldn't be. It's very small for my eyes, but. So
I'm not
that's
hearing-
them. Or is that customers ordering tacos?
No, I think the ice dude is the guy in the gray hoodie. We should probably kill the volume just in case that song is copyrighted.
A classic.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe. I think it's probably got 10 million spins somewhere.
No, I'm sure it does.
Okay, so let's see if... Yeah, you can't really make it. I was trying to play it for a second just to see if we could make out what the cops were saying or ICE was saying to them.
Oh, okay.
But
All right. Well, just scroll forward. Like, they're just gonna comment and be shitty. I'm guessing.
It's one of those things where
Oh, you can't. Okay. All right. Well, this is not really super. Not that this is not that I want ICE raids to be entertaining, but we are doing a show here. So basically, I think we know they come on, they take the guys off the truck. They're all in hoodies. They shouldn't be doing it.
I think it's concerning just the amount, like, covering your face in a gaiter. Like, you're trying to instill this, like, general fear and secret police kind of mentality.
Oh, and there's also the same people who I'm sure are like, no masks ever. People of color are using masks to commit crimes, and then they're showing up in gaiters. Okay. So, all right, this next one is from, because of what she writes, I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, but I'll just call her J. That's the first initial. So from Wacko J, hi, it's a female though. Hi, Corinne, I just want to express my excitement and support for your newest endeavor. I have been a Guys We Fucked listener since 2016 and a Wacko from the beginning. With that being said, I am so optimistic that you can truly make a change. Either that or I'll die trying, because this, oh my God, my team was out petitioning today. And they said overall it went well, but one woman did walk by in Hell's Kitchen and she goes, Cuomo all the way. And I was like, that is sad. If you're a woman and you're saying Cuomo all the way, have you read the legal reports of his 11 sexual assault allegations? Like, disgusting. I can't imagine I'm guessing she was like, in her 40s or 50s based on that behavior. And again, I mean, I'm approaching 40, whatever, no shade, but it's just to be a pick-me girl that late in life. I can understand it when you're in your 20s. There is a learning curve to not being a pick-me girl. I think most women go through it. But good God, to still be a pick-me girl in your 40s and 50s, I don't know what to tell you, but you need to go to therapy. Yes, Michael?
Some people are just born Cuomo-sexual.
Oh, my God. Cuomo, I mean, we're going to talk about him at length later because I am bothered. His polling he is polling better than any candidate. And again, I mean, part of the reason I wanted to run in this race is because I did feel that the candidates are kind of boring and they lack star quality. But, and I do actually, I hate to say this, but Cuomo does have star quality in a Trumpy way, but like he's an entertaining person. And so when people say, why are you running for mayor? I go, because star quality needs to go against star quality. You need someone who you want to watch. Even if you think I'm a maniac, you think I'm crazy. Yes. That's why we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? That's why, there is good crazy and bad crazy. You need someone entertaining, right? Jasmine Crockett, Marjorie Taylor Greene, both entertaining. One's doing good, one's doing not good. But we're talking about them both, right? So you need that kind of energy. Yes, Michael.
And for what it's worth, you haven't killed any grandmas.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. Everyone forgets. I'm like, listen, I've worked in women's rights long enough that I know people don't care about women, but you care about old people. And how do you not care about, Cuomo hiding the deaths of all these elderly people in old people homes during COVID? People were very upset then. Just yucky. He's just yucky. All right. So I live in Pennsylvania, actually close to where you went to the Trump rally. It was actually nice there. It was a beautiful day. We had a great time again. Well, I know that New York has no stakes for me personally. And you're right on a little level, but I actually do think New York does have stakes for everyone in America because we tend to lead on things. And especially because our mayor does end up having a pretty especially right now, interesting relationship with the president. So I know, yes, if you don't live in New York City, you're like, I'm not really interested in municipal politics. You will still hear about the mayor of, there's a couple mayors and governors countrywide that you'll hear about no matter where you live. And I think that is true of New York City. I think your running for office can set a new perception. We hope it sets something. We hope it said something, because this is a lot of work to not set anything. We're trying. I'm trying to give you guys information. This is my it's my this is my largest investigative report to date. Me running for mayor. I believe that it has the potential to open opportunities for like-minded people who truly want to make a change. Please do something with the information I give you. I beg of you. It was hard to obtain, and it's taking years off my life and making me hate people more. Not the people that I talk to, not the constituents, but the other politicians. I actually it's making me so much better at talking to people, because I have to, because if I want to win, I have to talk to people on the street, even though I'm shy. And I'm actually having a really good time doing that. I know that it goes without saying that the people are sick and tired of the typical official. We want someone who genuinely gives a shit about us. I just wanted to thank you and let you know that there are many of us rallying behind you. I know, and I thank you. And you guys, you know what, guys? I like you. After this, I'm going to like my listeners more than most of my friends, because you guys have been so much more generous with your donations. I only had to ask you guys once. You did it. I really can't thank you enough. It's really, really lovely to see. Also, on a different note, you speak about inmate incarceration often and their treatment. A little I'm sorry, I said the T in often. It's often. And their treatment. A little background about me. I have been an X-ray tech in PA state prisons for 9 years, including the one where Luigi was housed at. My ex-husband is a capital shift commander as such. If you have any questions, I have a lot of insight about daily operations. I absolutely love my job, but it does not go without its fair share of fuckery as well. In 2016, I was assaulted by an inmate. I was pregnant, early pregnancy, so not visible, and an inmate kicked me in the stomach. He had a knife on him and his intention was to stab me. My son is 7 now, perfectly healthy, just for the record, LOL. I had another instance when an inmate technically sexually assaulted me. I say technically only because he exposed himself and jacked off during an X-ray exam. Jeez, I can only imagine being a woman working with male inmates. Charges were pressed on both inmates and they had time added to their sentence. I'm glad. I hope that gave you some relief, I would be more than happy to provide insight or elaborate on any question regarding max security prisons in PA. I'm looking forward to your campaign, and let me know if I can there is any support I can offer. Thank you so much. That's so interesting. You guys know I love reading about prisons. So I would love to talk to you. I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to appear on camera, but I think that would be a super interesting interview if you're interested. This is from Wacko MB Justice from the Independent UK. This is a New York but also national issue that I heard about, but this person sent me an article on it, so I want to cover this. I wanted to cover this anyway, though, because people have been going off about this. Highway robbery, NYC controller accused, again, controller, whatever you want to say, accuses Musk of stealing $80 million from city bank account. The current controller is Brad Lander, who is one of the candidates I'm running against. He is the person who is polling second best after not Donald Trump, Jesus, after Cuomo, who again is not even in the race yet. I would just say he's very much a cookie cutter politician. A Democrat, I think he has some good views and stuff, but I don't know. Watch a video of him. The Trump administration snatched back from the city's bank account $80 million appropriated by Congress to help house migrants. New York City Controller Brad Lander has accused Elon Musk of highway robbery after $80 million approved by Congress vanished from the city's bank account. The Trump administration clawed back the $80 million that the Federal Emergency Management Agency paid to New York City last week to help house migrants, federal officials confirmed. And also, this is from earlier. Eric Adams is now suing Donald Trump for this money because I guess they're in a lover's quarrel, Today, Brad Lander's office discovered that $80 million in already authorized, allocated, and paid federal aid was wiped from the city's bank account. Lander said Wednesday, Like he was talking about his office. He said, let's be crystal clear. This is highway robbery. Elon Musk, with no legal authority, illegally seized federal funds from New Yorkers. He said the money was supposed to reimburse the city for costs it had already incurred and had invoiced to the federal government. The rescinded funds raise legality issues facing funding freezes and takebacks by Elon Musk and the Trump administration, often in the wake of legally executed congressional appropriations and documents laying out payments and even funds for work already provided and costs incurred. Lander, who is running for New York City mayor, also hit out at current mayor Eric Adams for not fighting back. He has since sued again. The Federal Department of Justice moved to drop a corruption case against Adams on Monday, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that's just like what's going on. We don't have to go through this whole article. But I mean, so yes, he's fighting back, but like then we ask, like, are you fighting back because you're running for mayor? Or are you fighting back because you care? Because I never heard this man's name in my life before I was running for mayor myself. Moving on. This is from Wacko Carolyn. She said, I'm sure you...
That is what I was pointing to earlier.
Okay, what about it?
That is who sent us the awesome Dunkin' Donuts shirts.
Oh, Carolyn?
Carolyn.
Oh, that's right.
We had
okay.
that combo.
Because I was thinking in my head that it was a like a K sound, but I was thinking K, like Caitlin or Kelsey or something. Carolyn. Oh, thank you, Carolyn. So we're wearing your shirts, and I loved the Christmas ornament you got from Etsy. It was so cute. It had all little like mini Dunkin' stuff in it, and the pins. Because Carolyn lives in Massachusetts, in the same town as the OG Dunkin', and so apparently they have exclusive merch. You know, I love exclusive merch, and she was nice enough to send us some exclusive merch, and she sent both me and Mike this exclusive Dunkin' merch, and it was so lovely to receive last week, and we thank you so much. All right, so this is the Idaho story that you guys have probably seen circulating around the internet, right? And so I was going to talk about this anyway, but I'm so glad that you messaged me, Carolyn, because you made me really happy with something that you wrote here. So you sent me the Instagram reel of her getting pulled out of the meeting. But then you also said it appears she may be currently or has recently run for office as well, which I love that because you went that extra step further. And I had also done that. And to me, it makes this story a little bit different than it initially was taken in, including by me, right? Because I reposted it. I was like, this is crazy, whatever. But then when you kind of look into who this person is, it does make you think, is this some kind of a publicity stunt to help her, gain a little bit of, get a little more eyes on her for her own quest for power in public office. And again, so I just love that you also noticed that, because that makes me think okay, wow, I gave myself full credit. I was like, this is definitely because she's a wacko. She's really good at critical thinking. Maybe you were always this good at internet research. I don't know, but it just made me happy that you pointed that out, because I also saw that. And I think a place where you can get interesting information, especially about elected or possibly, TBD elected officials, is in the comments section, right? Because in the comments section, you saw a lot of, some people who didn't know her being like, go queen, yeah, slay. But then you saw people who knew her locally and were kind of tearing her apart, right? And I don't know who she really is. I don't know her. I don't live in Idaho. I don't live in that town. But it just made me want to look into it more, because it made it seem like this isn't as black and white as it seems, right? So, the left loves a story about the right being chaotic. So we just don't know. But I'm going to read the story anyway. But please just take it with a grain of salt, because I, like you, Carolyn, am not sure. And I don't know if that's why you pointed it out, but the running for office and the comments from people who actually knew her made it seem like this could, kind of like she's someone who does stuff like this a lot to get attention. Again, I don't want to fall into this trap of calling a woman crazy, because it could just be haters, but I just want to put a pin in that so we research it a little bit further. So this is from Fox LA. I took it from Fox LA 11 because I liked their headline. It said, retired LA County deputy, now a sheriff in Idaho, forcefully pulls woman out of meeting. When images of retired LA County deputy Bob Norris, now sheriff with Idaho's Kootenai County appeared on social media. Criticism initially focused on his handling of the removal of a woman speaking out of turn at a town hall meeting in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, having two plainclothes security people who were not local officers forcibly remove the woman from the room. So the theme of today's show is plainclothes authority, apparently, with this in the taco truck. The videos also show Sheriff Norris dressed in street clothes, first trying to remove the woman himself, which has added to the criticism. Norris, according to Transparent California, which posts salaries of officials statewide, is drawing a retirement from the LA County Employees Retirement Association. Nothing is wrong with a retired officer working somewhere else, but it's the disability payments, over $150,000 if you look at the site, that are being questioned. If he is disabled and can't work in Los Angeles, he can work in Idaho, say people who were in the meeting. Tamara Sinis Kermalis, who was the woman removed, wonders how the sheriff was physically fit enough to try to manhandle a woman expressing her opinions during a meeting he wasn't even presiding while being, quote, disabled. LaSera issued the following statement in response to the story of Norris getting the disability checks. LaSera's disability evaluation process involves a thorough review of medical records and an examination by a board-approved doctor. The LaSera Board of Retirement grants disability retirement only if their independent physician, love it already, shade room, that the member is confirms that the member is permanently incapacitated and cannot perform their job duties. The board can then approve the disability retirement based on this evaluation. I also wonder, does disability always mean physical, or can it mean that you have experienced PTSD or trauma from the job and you can no longer mentally participate? I just want to put that on the table. We reached out to Sheriff Norris, who was not available for comment before Fox 11's 5 p.m. newscast, but the Coeur d'Alene Police Department published the following release regarding the incident involving Norris. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department is investigating the incident at the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee Town Hall on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025, at Coeur d'Alene High School. On Saturday, February 22nd, 2025, the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee organized and held a town hall meeting, which was open to the public at Coeur d'Alene High School. During the meeting, opinions were expressed both for and against the various topics of discussion. During the meeting, after speaking out of turn, Teresa Bornpole was asked to leave. When she refused, she was physically removed by employees of Lear Asset Management, a private security firm hired by the event organizers. Officers, which also, people question that, but it depends again on local laws. But for instance, when we did Guys We Fest, we legally had to have security there, and the only way to do you pay a security firm or you pay off-duty police officers. That's kind of the only way to obtain it. We legally had to do that to have the event, so it's possible that was needed. But I also think that at any kind of event where people could react passionately, or kind of any event or a gathering of a large amount of people these days, you really should have security. That's just the world that we live in. I think it's kind of weird when we don't. I think it's weird when a comedy club doesn't have a bouncer or a security guard. I think it's unsafe for the comedians, Sometimes maybe midweek they won't have one. And I think that's unsafe for the comedians because you never know. That's a space where many times when I've been on stage, someone has absolutely lost their mind in the audience, and you need someone to remove them quickly because it's scary. Officers who were in the school parking lot due to a threat to one of the state legislatures were alerted to the incident after Bornpole had been removed. During the initial investigations, officers learned Bornpole bit one of the men involved in removing her. So that right there does tie into her being a little nutty. Okay, I do feel just anytime you're kind of biting someone, and it's not in a fight for your life, that is a little weird. Again, just kind of collecting information as we go here. Did you raise your hand? Oh, okay.
No, I was doing a silly little act out.
Oh, okay. I thought you were maybe. Oh, I didn't know if you were like doing calisthenics or something.
No, you were saying she's being very silly. So I did the thing I do with my daughter where I go, "You're being silly."
Oh boy, girl dad. With the officers' limited information at the time, Paul was cited for battery. Since the initial investigations, officers and detectives have continued to investigate this incident. After reviewing all new evidence and video related to the event, the city prosecuting attorney's office has moved to dismiss the citation against Paul in the interest of justice. What I also learned because I watched the video of this, what I also noticed is like there's a lot of noise in the room when she's being removed, but everyone's sitting in their seats and like no one's trying to stop the officers. So to me, if it was completely outrageous that she was being removed, I feel like maybe someone else would have at least gotten up out of their seat, but like no, everyone remains sitting. So even though people are yelling, they're not like screaming. You look at their faces, they're not like screaming in panic. They're kind of just like, oh, whatever. And then you like in that instance, you can't tell necessarily if it's like for her, against her, maybe a little bit of both. But no one's actually getting out of their seat. So I think if we actually if the people in the room actually felt it was something where she was like being hurt or was like really crazy that she was being removed, I feel like we would have seen people actually get up out of their seats. Either that or the people of Idaho or the lady are very lazy. I don't know. I've never been to Idaho. The business license for Lear Asset Management has been revoked for violating Coeur d'Alene city ordinances regarding security agencies and agents, City Code 5.32. So again, local code that I wouldn't know. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department recognizes and values all rights afforded by the United States Constitution to all citizens, so that's federal, including the right to free speech. This is a complex incident, and detectives continue to work through all aspects of the investigation. More information will be released when it becomes available. And oh my God. Okay. And now, guys, there's a GoFundMe at the end of this article. Justice for Dr. Teresa Paul, fight for the first. She set a goal of $30,000. She has raised $305,230. Let me just tell you, she doesn't need that money, especially in Idaho. Guys, send that money to me. $305,000. See, now I'm really feeling like this was a publicity stunt. Now I'm really feeling like this was a publicity stunt and honestly a genius one. But this is why every politician feels like a used car salesman, because this stunt, this is one of the only ways that you see people run for office who are like kind of unorthodox candidates, if they've been through something where, some right was taken from them and they fought back against it. That's also a prototype for a type of politician. And she's a doctor, so she's smart. She could have thought about that. Let's stay on this story because I don't trust either side of this story.
How do we fake you getting manhandled?
No, I don't want to do that though, right? Because I'm like, would this be a smart publicity stunt? Yeah, but like it's like then it takes away from moments where people really do feel so impassioned by something that's happening that they do speak out and they do get arrested, It's like, man, this is so interesting. All right. Teresa Paul, because I was just reading something else about the guy who ran for the rent is too damn high party in New York City, Jimmy Carville, and there was something that he did as a publicity stunt during his campaign. He's kind of the king of publicity stunts, where he like chained himself to some climate, to some tree or some facility. It's something to do with climate, I read. And I was like, Jesus Christ, even the people who seem like salt of the earth are just showmen. This is abhorrent. Teresa Paul, the educator removed from the town hall meeting, admits she was being loud about her opposition, but insisted that she remain seated and respectful. Paul's supporters have since launched a fundraiser online in hopes of covering her legal expenses in the link below. $305,230. I don't know what to say. Guys, I know we love a story, but that money could be really, but you could have just fed your neighborhood, Think how many people could have eaten dinner for that amount of money. I don't think Teresa Paul is the hero that we needed right now. I don't know how I feel about that story. That left a bad taste in my mouth. All right. Yeah, and if you go to her Instagram, and again, she's gotten like a bunch of followers in the past 24 hours. She has 56.9 thousand followers now from 13 posts. Pretty much impossible unless you do like a viral video, which by the looks of her other videos, I don't think she did. Oh, man. Wow. Let's see. All right, so people are really, so it's Teresa for Idaho, and it's Teresa without the H, so Teresa for Idaho is her campaign if we want to follow her. I don't want to slander her because I don't, she's running to represent District 5 in the Idaho House of Representatives. So that's what she's doing. Again, I don't want to say this was a publicity stunt, because certainly people have accused my campaign of being a publicity stunt. I don't know for what. For me spending all my money and not being able to do stand-up for the time. Bad publicity stunt, let me tell you. If it is, it's not. But the fact that she's running and not even yet elected and then did that, I don't feel good about this. We'll see. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope she's just doing the Lord's work. I want women to run. I don't want to slander her. But this was this just seems like something that escalated that didn't need to. Or maybe they feel, or maybe, okay, to play devil's advocate, maybe maybe her area of Idaho really feels like she's a threat to the views that they want to push on people. And maybe it was them making a bigger deal out of something and being like, let's have her removed. And maybe they thought that would be a bad look for her. So maybe let's look at it that way. All right. Here's the part of the show where my computer crashes. Amazing. It is the Andrew Cuomo article. It's like they knew. It's like they knew. Love, 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 love. I really don't want to quit Safari because all these windows that I have open right now, I really need open. That's so bad that I had to just do that. Why does this only happen here? Truly never once has happened in my own home. All right. Can you make that big? I cannot read that. All right, well, I meant like the whole screen, but okay, so it says this is from City and State New York. Okay, so this is like kind of the go-to or one of the go-to local media outlets for municipal issues, municipal level news in New York City. It's everyone here is, you'll see a bunch of candidates being like, I got mentioned in City and State, and like, I mean, they are giving. They're just like licking people's asses, quite frankly. And they're like doing it. They did like some top 100 most influential people in New York, and it was just like all the people that we already know running in New York. It kind of made me physically ill a little bit. All right, I'm gonna pull this up here. Can Andrew Cuomo City and State. Okay, so it's called Can Andrew Cuomo Bounce Back? Since resigning in disgrace, the former governor has largely weathered his scandals and carefully orchestrated his political comeback. And let me just tell you, I know I feel comfortable when in an article about me running for government, it says the word orchestrated. That's always good. That always means someone's really doing a great job and are extremely earnest in their intentions, Oh boy. Okay. So I'm not, and this is by Rebecca C. Lewis, I'm not disappearing. That was one of the first things that then Governor Andrew Cuomo said after announcing that he would resign from office in August 2021 amid a sexual harassment scandal. They must give you that, like, I'm not going away or I'm not disappearing line when you go to sex scandal political boot camp, because I've heard a lot of other politicians who have been accused of sex scandals say things like that. Wow. He offered the thought before he even officially stepped down in an interview with New York Magazine, one of the few he has given in the past 3.5 years. In that time, Cuomo certainly has not disappeared, even if his public appearances, mostly at Black churches, have been relatively few and far between. The most access that reporters have had to the ex-governor was likely when he testified before a congressional committee in Washington, D.C. about his response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet the specter of Cuomo has continued to loom large, with constant chatter about a potential political comeback that started almost immediately upon his exit from the executive mansion. Rumors have swirled for years about what Cuomo might do, with talk of a run for state attorney general against the woman who aided in his downfall, or attempting to compete against his former lieutenant for the role of governor. But nothing has felt more concrete than his widely expected run for New York City mayor. Sources now suggest the former governor will formally enter the race within the next few weeks, leading in practically every public poll so far, even before announcing his candidacy. Cuomo appears poised to prove that he has managed to overcome scandals that may have felled other politicians after his years-long dedication to staying in politics and a series of legal victories that he has framed as vindication. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws. That's what State Attorney General Letitia James, and I saw her speak at the caucus a couple weekends ago. Powerful speaker. And just like takes no shit. Said as she announced the release, she got a standing ovation, said as she announced the release of a nearly 200-page report about the governor in August 2021. Talk of impeachment swirled as the assembly undertook its own investigation of Cuomo, and district attorneys in multiple counties said they were looking into the possibility of bringing criminal charges against him. A week after James's report was released, Cuomo said he would resign. After his resignation, 2 women who accused Cuomo of sexual misconduct, allegations that the governor has strenuously denied, filed civil lawsuits against him. And I found a clip the other day. Me and Christina were looking it up, and it was like of him interacting with a doctor on camera about how to take a COVID test. And he literally even said something skeevy to her on camera. So if he's doing that on camera, imagine what he's doing off camera. At the same time.
What are you talking about? He's not a pervert. He's Italian.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a real defense he made.
Oh, I know. If you guys don't know, yeah, he and anytime he like kisses someone inappropriately or something, he just said, "Oh no, that's just I'm Italian. That's what we do." Oh, is it? Cool. I'm Jewish. We take you to court. At the same time, we take you to court and we run the trial because we're the lawyers. At the same time, I literally had to have no lawyers in my family, just so you know. At the same time, Cuomo's highs during the pandemic, when he graced television screens around the nation daily and offered what many considered a calm and authoritative voice during the chaos, had also reached new lows. The governor faced intense scrutiny over a decision to transfer recovering COVID-19 patients to nursing homes and was accused of fudging death toll numbers to cover up the impacts of that decision. Critics also said he improperly enriched himself with a $5 million book deal in the middle of the pandemic. After concluding that Cuomo had used government resources to help write the book, the state's former ethics agency ordered Cuomo to return the money, a decision the courts determined should be revisited by the state's news ethics watchdog. It's hard to imagine coming back from all of that, but Cuomo now seems well on his way. His reputation has been buoyed by a series of victories since his resignation that, while not making his troubles disappear, have at least provided him ammunition in his ongoing narrative of redemption from political persecution. The first came shortly after his resignation, when 5 local prosecutors each declined to bring criminal charges against the former governor. The prospect had always been a long shot, as sexual harassment is a civil offense, and the worst of the allegations would have been exceedingly difficult to prove in court. But that didn't stop Cuomo from touting the outcomes as a sign of vindication. How can you have a report that says 11 cases of sexual harassment and then it goes through law enforcement and they find no cases? Oh, I don't know, Andrew Cuomo. How could that happen? Maybe it could happen because often sexual harassment and even rape cases slip through the cracks because our government decided that it's he said, she said, and you are one of the most powerful political names in New York City where the crimes crimes allegedly happen. And you are also on record and known by every politician in New York as being an extremely vindictive person. So maybe people didn't feel like it was worth it to try these people in cases that they would lose and then be on your shit list. So I'm just spitballing here, but maybe that's what it was about. Oh my God, please guys, sign my petition so I can fight this man on stage. It will truly, that's all I need in 2025 is let me at Andrew Cuomo, because when I tell you, I am the only candidate who is fully equipped to fight this man verbally. Please, if just for that, donate to my campaign and sign my petition. Let me at this man. I don't care. I am not scared of his vindictiveness. I fully expect to wake up with a horse head in my bed. Come at me, Cuomo. I'm Italian too. Cuomo said at a South Bronx church in March 2022, his first public appearance after resigning, it was a fraud, blah, blah, blah. Cuomo has gone on the offensive to downplay other allegations against him. He sued the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government, the state's ethics watchdog created after he left office to prevent it from launching its own investigation into his book deal. Lawyers for the former governor argued not just that he deserved to keep the $5 million, but that the agency itself was unconstitutional because it was too dependent of the executive branch. Cuomo won the first trial court-level fight in September 2023. An appellate court upheld the decision, ruling a little less than a year later that the creation of the ethics agency had violated the state constitution. Unfortunately for Cuomo, he ultimately lost that legal fight after the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals, ruled in a 4-3 decision that Coalig abided by the Constitution. A spokesperson for the former governor was quick to decry that ruling, though questioning the motives of the 4 judges who overturned the lower court decisions. Cuomo was grilled by Republicans and Democrats alike when he testified last year before the Congressional Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic. Members of the committee even referred him to the Department of Justice for potential prosecution over his decisions and conduct during the pandemic. But Cuomo has gotten vindication on that as well. A report from the Department of Justice Inspector General last month concluded what the ex-governor has been saying for years. The federal investigation into nursing home deaths was at least partially politically motivated. According to the report, Democratic-run states like New York and New Jersey were targeted by President Donald Trump's Department of Justice with targeted leaks about the probes shortly before the 2020 election. But again, isn't it interesting how that always comes up as like that's like the answer, like it's always politically motivated? And again, after working with these people for 2 months, I don't put it past them to have these things be politically motivated. But that's also, what Eric Adams is saying about all the things that he's been accused of, that it was all politically motivated because, people didn't, because like Biden and Kamala didn't like how he was handling immigration in New York City. Despite the fact that other states that received far less public scrutiny also had evidence of quality of care issues at their nursing homes. While the report did not absolve Cuomo of every criticism around nursing homes, it provided him another concrete win to back up his claims of political victimhood, which will be a problem, right? So if he committed crimes, but not as bad as the ones that were reported, he can then turn that into I'm a victim, right? Which will work. People are forgiving and they have a very short-term memory, right? I don't even want to say people are forgiving. People are, someone said it to me behind the scenes when I first started working on this campaign. She said, people are fickle. That was like the first piece of advice she gave me. She was like, with running for office, she's like, things could change at any time. If you remember the last mayoral election, Andrew Yang was in the lead pretty much the entire time and then ended up coming in 4th place because he said this one train that's, goes to the Bronx and it doesn't. And he took a video inside a bodega that was more like a high-end supermarket, not a bodega. And it just showed us he's not one of us. Cuomo's biggest perceived victory may have come when former staffer Charlotte Bennett dropped her sexual harassment lawsuit against him shortly before she was set to give her deposition in the case. Yeah, probably because he threatened her and she wanted to continue with a career in politics, I'm guessing, the former governor immediately filed a new lawsuit against Bennett that accused her of defamation. Charlotte Bennett's decision to drop her case was an absolutely extraordinary development, said Andrew Kurtzman, managing director at consulting firm Actum. And it's a testament to Cuomo's scorched earth tactics. That's not something I want said about me. In a statement announcing her decision to drop the case, Bennett said that Cuomo had weaponized her own lawsuit against her to harass her along with her friends and family. Cuomo had engaged in aggressive subpoenaing in both Bennett's lawsuit and in a separate lawsuit brought by an unnamed state trooper, which remains ongoing, as does another suit from a former staffer. I believe, and Cuomo also had one of his victims' gynecological records subpoenaed, and that might have been Charlotte. There's so many cases; it's hard for me to differentiate in my mind, but I have read through all the legal paperwork. Throughout this extraordinarily painful two-year case, I've many times believed that I'd be better off dead than endure more of his litigation abuse, which has caused extraordinary pain and expense to my family and friends, Bennett said at the time. I desperately need to live my life. But for Cuomo, Bennett's decision to drop the case gave him another talking point to bolster his narrative that he was overcoming various false allegations. We operate on two speeds here: get along and kill. That was how former top Cuomo aide Steve Cohen described the fledgling administration in a phone exchange from 2011 with Dan Malloy, then the governor of Connecticut, as reported by the Connecticut Post. The quote offers insight into the personality of someone who will fight tooth and nail to get what he wants. Cohen remains a close confidant of the former governor, with the New York Times recently reporting that he was involved with a new pro-Cuomo super PAC. Cuomo's aggressive style has so far served him fairly well, and it plays no small part in explaining why the scandal-ridden politician hasn't faded into post-resignation obscurity. Even now, members of the political world remain fearful of Cuomo's vindictiveness, unwilling to openly cross the former governor out of concern for how he might respond should the people elect him again. Come at me, bitch. Despite the relatively positive press that he has managed to rack up in the years since his resignation, Cuomo still faces the major test of actually running for public office again. But the powerful fallen governor has positioned himself well for a comeback. In a time of Donald Trump, who are New York Democrats going to turn to? Or who are they open to turning to, asked political strategist Chris Coffey. To me, it's not surprising that someone who is always very, very popular in the Black community and in other places too is a very viable option. After this story went to press, Politico New York reported that Coffey has been making calls to Jewish groups on Cuomo's behalf without having I'm Jewish too, if that's what you want. Without having even made any announcement, Cuomo is the overwhelming favorite in early mayoral polls, and that's true, in no small part to his near universal name recognition. He trounces both Mayor Eric Adams and the closest primary opponents, hovering around 30% support in multiple polls. And in a testament to Coffey's point, an Emerson College poll from earlier this month found that Black voters shifted away from Adams, who leads with them otherwise, toward Cuomo when the former governor was included in the equation. While he hasn't made any public announcements on his plans, Cuomo released an awfully campaign-esque video on Valentine's Day, shot at a seniors event. He should probably get away from seniors. He attended the day before in East Harlem. The video featured Cuomo speaking to attendees and glad-handing women who seemed excited he was there. Please know, this is the kind of sexual predator that older women still love. I really can't explain it. Again, it's a very pick-me-girl energy to me, but it's he does have a certain charm in the way that a car salesman has charm, and women love it. And I guess he's not afraid to flirt with anyone from 16 to 98. So when you're willing to do that, it really helps you get the votes in. And again, that's a larger social discussion that we could have on Guys We Fucked, where when, at a certain age, when you start taking male attention away from women, how you can then, possibly control them with it later in life by giving it back to them. Again, that's a very heavy conversation about the patriarchy. That's not really meant for this show. It's really a Guys We Fuck conversation, but I'd love to have it with someone one day. One could be heard saying, "We miss you." The host of the event, Assemblymember Eddie Gibbs, said Cuomo Cuomo received a warm welcome from the seniors, at least one of whom asked if Cuomo was running for mayor. Everybody was excited to see him, standing ovations, women grabbing him, Gibbs said. The lawmaker didn't explicitly invite Cuomo, and he has not endorsed the former governor, but he was still happy to welcome him into his district to talk with constituents. I like Andrew a lot. He's my guy. And though Gibbs says he is not endorsing anyone, other Democrats are already putting their support behind Cuomo before his official entrance into the race, clearly unperturbed by the scandals following him. Earlier this month, the Staten Island Democratic Party, that's like 5 people, voted to endorse Cuomo following reports that Adams was considering seeking Republican support to run for mayor. We believe Andrew Cuomo is the only proven leader with the track record of results and resolve to both navigate attacks from Washington and properly address the issues of corruption and deteriorating quality of life that our city faces today, Party Chair Laura LoBianco Sword told the New York Post. Well, I think anyone named Laura LoBianco Sword, which is too Italian even for my mouth, is obviously on Andrew Cuomo's side. About a week later, Cuomo gained the backing of his first Democratic club in the city, the Village Reform Democratic Club, which ironically enough was originally created by supporters of Ed Koch after the Village Independent Democrats endorsed Mario Cuomo for governor in 1982, announced that its members had voted for Cuomo in a landslide. And far from holding his COVID-19 responses against him, the club credited Cuomo's leadership during the pandemic as one of the reasons that he should lead the city. Cuomo is a good fundraiser, and he has been having conversations with donors in the city, particularly among powerful real estate and construction industries. Yeah, that's exactly where you want Canada getting their money from. According to one real estate source, the conversations have been going well. The scandals that have plagued Cuomo have not soured that pool of donors to the former governor, who has historically been friendly with the industry. I think it's pretty safe to say, given the crop of candidates, that he would likely be the odds-on favorite for at least our industry, said the real estate source. Of course, none of this means that Cuomo is being welcomed with open arms. It's like being deathly thirsty and the only thing available to drink is New Jersey tap water, said one Democratic consultant who asked for anonymity to speak candidly about Cuomo. That is, again, you guys know how I feel about a cheap New Jersey joke. I drank New Jersey tap water all my life. It's much tastier than New York tap water, which I know is supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be great. It's not. It doesn't taste good. It tastes like it tastes like dirty. That's a problem.
All right, Corinne, this might actually lead to a fist fight.
You think it tastes good?
New York has the best tap water on the planet.
That's what they say, but that's not what my mouth says, and that's not what water bottle sales in New York said, which is another thing we can talk about.
Your mouth has been known to lie.
The plastic. No, it hasn't. The plastic pollution. The consultant said Cuomo may not be totally forgiven, but voters and political players are met with the question, where else can we go? Political power players are not necessarily happy to see Cuomo's attempted comeback either. He recently showed up at Assemblymember Jordan Wright's inauguration in Harlem. It was a big event given his father is Keith Wright, the chair of the Manhattan Democratic Party, incestuous. But according to a source who was there, Cuomo received the cold shoulder and left soon after he arrived. Working class black voters like those in Harlem would make up Cuomo's base if he decided to run, and would be crucial if he wanted to win. Lack of support from a power broker like Wright could hinder that. A source... okay, sorry. I just want to make sure there wasn't too much left. A source with knowledge of Queens Democratic Party politics said Cuomo has been shunned at events in the recent past. They said he wanted to attend an event in November, but was treated as a persona non grata. Cuomo may now be trying to make inroads in working class parts of Brooklyn, but he probably wouldn't find much support from the likes of party leader, Assemblymember Rodney Bichotte Hermelin, who is an ally of Adams, though her vice chair in Brooklyn just backed Cuomo in a personal capacity. Rich Azzopardi, a spokesperson for Cuomo, disputed the characterizations of Cuomo's interactions at the Wright inauguration and with the Queens Democratic Party. He said that the former governor had a warm welcome in Harlem and couldn't make a Queens event after receiving an invitation from an assembly member. Cuomo still faces vulnerabilities for the scandals that pushed him out of office in 2021, and a new group has already been created that has Cuomo in its crosshairs. United for a Brighter Tomorrow has paid for a TV spot highlighting his various scandals and a radio ad that digs up past gaffes that Cuomo has had with the Black community. Strategically very smart. A poll from the same group released in February found that while Cuomo was currently the frontrunner, his support dropped significantly after potential voters heard the negative messaging about the former governor's scandals. The survey found that the most effective message was about his sexual harassment allegations and ensuing aggressive legal tactics that critics said amounted to harassment, with 74% of voters polling saying it had caused them serious or very serious concerns. Messaging about his handling of COVID-19 and his book deal was a close second, with 72% expressing concerns about the statement. Cuomo is already unpopular, but his favorability erodes quickly when voters hear about his faults, a memo on the poll read. And as the early favorite, Cuomo is already attracting attacks from other candidates in the race, which will increase once he begins appearing with them at forums and debates. State Senator Zelnor Myrie, another one of the people that I'm competing against, has been particularly aggressive in his targeting of the former governor. Following the Court of Appeals ruling surrounding Cuomo's book deal, Myrie compared him to Trump. Like Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo tried to dismantle independent watchdogs that are expressly intended to protect against the abuse of power and prevent our leaders from personally profiting off the public, Myrie said in a statement. I agree with that. With the breakneck pace of news since January, who knows how well such attacks will ultimately play in a few months or even in a few weeks. And of course, none of this is certain as Cuomo has still made no formal declaration. The former governor stands to lose it all if a run for mayor ends in anything but his residence in Gracie Mansion. As much as Cuomo appears to be weathering his scandals as he prepares to launch a comeback, he still needs to make sure voters truly believe it's warranted once the behind-the-scenes games end. And so I just wanted to fill you in, because I think this is actually like a pretty big article, even though it feels like New York specific. I think Andrew Cuomo entering the race, as they said, he is pretty much, nationally recognized name. I also I just find it unfortunate that we're spending so much time, talking about Andrew Cuomo, and I will have to as a candidate because, you basically once he enters the race, the things that I'll be having to do are like constantly reminding people how bad he is to destroy the front runner, which is easy and I don't mind doing because I really do think he's a bad guy, right? If I didn't think he's a bad guy, I wouldn't take that approach, but I genuinely think he's a bad guy. I don't like attack ads unless they're warranted. And in this case, I think he's truly like a menace to society. And then part two will be that I'll have to constantly be proving, number one, why I'm a stronger choice than him. And then number two, the things that I can offer to the city, even though I don't have any, professional political experience, which again, what does that even mean? I don't have experience lying to you. I don't have experience taking your money to write a book. Like, what is the experience? At this point, I really don't know what political experience means anymore. I think political experience means that no, I have not fucked over a large group of people before. So yeah, you're right. I don't have any political experience. But that'll be interesting. But again, no one's more equipped than me to take him down between the all the sexual assault allegations, and then additionally the fact that I'm not like all these other candidates, right? If they don't win, they still need a job in New York City politics. I don't. Freedom. Okay.
Plus, if we've learned anything, the thing that is going to take Andrew Cuomo down, is a hot Jewish broad.
Okay.
We did have a super chat come in from Digi Sows. He says, "Does Corinne consider herself leftist or liberal?"
God, well, I consider myself liberal gone rogue. I don't think that like the way we think about liberals today that I could describe myself as liberal. I think I usually describe myself as like left leaning or leftist. Right now I'm just calling myself a Democrat because I have to because I'm running. But like to me, it's like I consider myself a Democrat, but I agree that the Democratic Party needs to be resuscitated. So that's how I'm looking at it. Like someone who wants to rebuild, someone who has enough faith in the Democratic Party that it can be rebuilt, but knows that it needs rebuilding. But yeah, I wouldn't say liberal. I don't use that word anymore just because I think it's been like ruined, you know? But thanks for the
couldn't
chat.
agree more, but.
All right, real quick, we got to wrap this up because I got to go ask people for signatures, but I couldn't end the episode without talking about KASH PATEL. This is from The Nation. Trump's FBI is the nightmare we all feared. Unqualified goons at the top, conspiracies running wild, a mandate for vengeance. Buckle up. All right, fun. I like the fun writing. Donald Trump loves to justify his crusade against diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in federal workplaces with the rote assurance that he's restoring the principle of merit-based performance in government jobs. Many of Trump's high-profile cabinet appointments give the lie to that claim, from science-averse conspiracy theorist RFK Jr. at the Department of Health and Human Services to dipsomaniacal accused sexual assaulter Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon to humor-impaired bully boss Elon Musk. Everywhere you turn. That feels like that was like his SNL hosting. But for a truly concentrated dose of merit destruction at a federal agency, it's hard to beat what Trump's done to the FBI. In a lapse of advise and consent authority that was egregious even for them, Republican senators voted last week to confirm Trump's nominee for FBI Chief KASH PATEL, whose chief qualification for the post is acute Trump sycophancy. Patel had previously bounced around the MAGA nomenclatura. Like, is that like a take on nomenclature, right? Nomenclatura class in a tour of agency posts that produced a resume that could charitably be described as undistinguished. When Trump, still desperate to steal the 2020 election, frantically tried to coerce law enforcement into joining his fascist crusade, his first thought was to name Patel, who had bounced from the Justice Department to the House Subcommittee on Intelligence to the Defense Department to the National Security Council, as deputy director of either the CIA or the FBI. Then Attorney General William Barr, who, though no slouch at executive appeasement himself, found the lethal scale of stop the steal delusional thinking in the Oval Office a bridge too far, tersely replied, "Over my dead body." Barr later recalled in his memoir that Trump's bid to elevate Patel displayed a shocking detachment from reality. Now, Patel is poised to create a whole new reality at the FBI. Like all ardent MAGA loyalists, Patel has assailed the agency he now leads for alleged politicized abuses of law enforcing authority on behalf of Democrats, from investigating the January 6th coup attempt to allegedly targeting right-wing activists to ill-specified Hunter Biden skullduggery. These lush conspiratorial reveries are nothing if not ambitious, since the FBI has never had a Democratic director in its 116-year history. It has certainly been guilty of politicizing justice across its scandal-plagued track record, but always to the right, from the harassment of radicals during wartime to the subversion of the 1960s anti-war left to the efforts of J. Edgar Hoover to humiliate Martin Luther King Jr. and indeed to drive him to suicide. But Patel's historical consciousness, like his grasp of any non-MAGA branded talking point, is extremely shaky. Indeed, in a blatant pre-confirmation legal trespass, Patel was evidently already plotting the dismissal of FBI staff involved in January 6 investigations, even as he swore under oath that he was doing no such thing. So much for wiping out the scourge of politicized law enforcement. But the director in waiting was just getting started. Agency veterans hoped that, as an untested and virtually unvetted outsider seizing the reins, Patel would, at a minimum, appoint a longtime FBI hand as his deputy, perhaps either the agency's acting director, Brian Driscoll, or his deputy, Robert Cassane. Instead, Patel, with Trump's enthusiastic blessing, tapped Dan Bongino, a fellow provocateur of the MAGA right, who hosted a Rumble podcast rife with heavy-breathing conspiracy theorizing. See? Oh, I'm not fit to be mayor as a podcast host. Apparently, I could just be on Trump's team. In addition to spinning fables about Tucker Carlson's firing from Fox News and the stolen 2020 election, Bongino wailed away at the FBI and its alleged leftist perfidies. I don't know what that word means. What does that word mean? Perfidies? This guy loves big words in this article. I think it's a fun article, but he's like using a lot of weird words. Perfidy, untrustworthiness. How do you say this?
Perfidy.
Perfidy. Okay, I was saying it right. Let's see. Bongino, who'd formerly worked as a New York City cop and a Secret Service agent, hadn't always been dismissive of federal law enforcement, but after Trump took office in 2017, he began publicizing Baroque theories about how senior FBI agents tried to rig the 2016 election in favor of Hillary Clinton. Yes, the same election cycle that saw FBI Director James Comey swoop in with an unfounded 11th-hour investigation into the Democratic nominee's email server. NBC News, reviewing data from Bongino's podcast Knowledge Fight, reported that it featured more than 21,000 mentions of the FBI and, quote, the deep state from May 2017 to his final broadcast earlier this week. Justice Patel is himself an aspiring Trump mini-me who reportedly launched his meteoric career revival in D.C. by telling Trump, Mr. President, the deep state is out to get you and I'm going to save you from it. Oh, my God. So is Bongino a mini Patel, a relentlessly on-the-make Trumpian huckster peddling diet supplements and concealed carry permits while claiming to face down the faithless and all-powerful forces of weaponized commie-lib wokeness. The two men also share the MAGA-certified histrionic view of journalists as enemies of the people, one FBI tradition that they'll doubtless adhere to. Washington Post media reporter Jeremy Barr shared one email reply from Bongino that began, "Are you a dipshit all the time or only on weekdays?" before calling him a chump and a coward who has never stood for anything in your entire life. Sorry life. The Patel-Bongino alliance is, of course, much more than another Trumpian effort to upend the administrative status quo in Washington. It's a model of purely ideologically driven law enforcement straight out of the authoritarian playbook. Bongino is not simply a MAGA yes man. He's an enforcer of right-wing orthodoxies now outfitted with virtually limitless power to harass and punish his political enemies. Will the deputy director get a security clearance, FBI background checks, or retired FBI agent asked NBC News? Does it matter that he supported the Oath Keepers? I doubt it because the director supported January 6th. It also bears reminding that Bongino's job was formerly held by Marker Felt, the anonymous source dubbed Deep Throat during Washington Post's investigation of the Watergate scandal. Far from following that example of exposing a reckless White House's criminal wrongdoing, Bongino has summed up his life's mission as simply, quote, owning the libs. Still, Felt may yet have the last word. His famous counsel to Bob Woodward goes double for the abuses and provocations sure to be wreaked by Trumpian law enforcement. Forget the myths the media has created about the White House. The truth is these are not very bright guys and things got out of hand. All right, babies. Well, that certainly was a mic drop to end this week's show on. Thank you so much for joining us.
God forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
For this show, for being a part of this community. It does take a village. Again, I hope you're enjoying the play-by-play of my mayoral run. I do think it's interesting for people who are into politics.
That's what the chat's talking about right now, how much they love the mayor talk.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm like, I don't want to bore you or just but I mean, again, it's please, if I'm doing all this, I at least want to tell you everything about it. And again, I'm kind of the only one who can be this transparent about it because all these other people have to keep their jobs. And I mean, this is why many people, when they are publicly shamed or dismissed from good society, come to the stage to be a stand-up comedian, because being a stand-up comedian is really the only career that will always have you back. And that's why I, Corinne Fisher, should be mayor, because I can tell you all the shit. Goss Queen, I want to bring back Gossip Girl to New York City, but as your mayor. So yeah, that's it. If you guys, again, we are in petitioning right now. I just can't. If you're in New York City, please look at my Instagram and meet me somewhere, or meet one of the volunteers somewhere, or meet Christina somewhere where we are collecting signatures. It is extremely, extremely important. Literally, I live in the East Village, okay? Down, close to the Lower East Side, right? Really on the cusp. Half my block is East Village, half my block is Lower East Side. If you are around this weekend and you're a registered Democrat, literally tell me and I will meet you somewhere to get your signature if you're in my neighborhood. I will come on foot in my pajamas if you're around. That's how badly I need signatures. Let me know. Yeah, please continue donating because, maybe we'll find one of these firms to help support our signatures. CorinneFisher.com, again, American residents only. Americans living abroad, also fine. And international folks, I know you say, what can you do? Well, I mean, you could support Without a Country. You can tell your New York friends about it. You can, I don't know, go to the New York Times and City and State when they're talking about, that's what I want to say that lightly. So any of these places that are talking about the mayor's race and aren't including me, that's what you can do as an international person. Go and say, why aren't you discussing Corinne Fisher for mayor? She is like she's the grassroots campaign to watch. Stuff like that. Blow up social media. Like that's where we have the power, right? So that's the one place where I don't want you to lose faith. We think that we don't have power as the people. We really, really do. That's the most exciting part of this race,
That's hot.
So keep doing that. And I'm going to go record the Patreon now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to all our patrons. Thanks to all our wackos. Obviously, follow Without a Country on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube. I'm at Philanthropy Gal, but more importantly, I'm at Corinne Fisher for Mayor. My website with my platform and all my information to donate to volunteer is at CorinneFisher.com. Reminder to New York City residents, once I hit that threshold, your donations are matched 8-1, up to $250 per donation. So that's really exciting. And Mike, where can people find you? I think you have some events coming up, right?
I'm at the M Harrington. If you're interested in armored combat, Pier 17 coming up in May, but this weekend, Fifth Company Brewing, Perryville, Maryland. If you're in the area, come by. Menu and Hearts headlining. Jay Simpson and somebody who's worked on this show before, Becca Kaplan, is going to be featuring on the show. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh, she's so fun. I love her. All right, guys. Sorry, I was just like thinking about how I love Becca and how she's so funny. All right, this has been Without a Country. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you around, hopefully with a petition. All right, tell your friends. The primary is June 24th. Let's hopefully we're on that ballot. Let's sign away. Thank you so much. This is Without a Country. The truth is out there. Bye, or the truth is in there.